Park Tae-ho never wanted to be here. He stood in the massive arena of Neo-Seoul, surrounded by thousands of beings from across the galaxy. Some had 4 arms. Some had scales. Some floated above the ground like ghosts. And here he was, a 28-year-old engineer from Busan who could barely pay his rent. "You're going to do great," his sister Yuna said through his earpiece. She was watching from the stands somewhere, probably biting her nails. "I'm going to die," Tae-ho replied. "There's a guy next to me who has teeth the size of my fingers. Don't be dramatic. Just remember why you're here," he remembered. Their family's robotics workshop was failing. Their parents had died 5 years ago, leaving them with debt and dreams. The prize money from the Galactic Unity Games could save everything. Yuna had pushed him to enter because she believed in him. Tae-ho entered because he couldn't say no to his little sister. The games had started 3 weeks ago with 10,000 contestants from 40 different species. Now, only 100 remained. Tae-ho had no idea how he survived this long. The first week tested intelligence. Puzzles that bent the mind, engineering problems that seemed impossible, strategy games against opponents who had been playing for centuries. Tae-ho won not by being smarter, but by thinking differently. When an alien opponent expected logic, he used instinct. When they expected patterns, he created chaos. The second week tested the body. Combat simulations, endurance trials, obstacle courses designed for creatures twice his size. Tae-ho should have lost on the first day, but humans, it turned out, had something the aliens didn't expect. They refused to stay down. He broke 3 ribs in the combat round against a Vorian warrior. The medical team told him to quit. He wrapped his chest, swallowed painkillers, and walked back into the arena. The Vorian had already celebrated his victory. When Tae-ho appeared at the door, the alien's face showed something Tae-ho had never seen on a non-human before. Fear. Tae-ho lost that fight. But he lasted long enough to earn points for endurance, pushing him to the next round. "Humans are crazy," one alien commentator said on the broadcast. "They don't know when to stop." Tae-ho smiled when he heard that. It was the nicest thing anyone had said about him. Now he stood in the final round. 100 contestants. 1 winner. The challenge was simple. A strategy game called Conquest. 2 players. 1 board. Thousands of possible moves. The winner takes everything. His opponent was a Sorath champion named Cavell. The Sorath were a warrior species, 7 feet tall with silver-violet skin and muscles that looked carved from stone. They had conquered 12 star systems through strength and strategy. Cavell had won the Galactic Games 3 times before. "You should surrender," Cavell said as they sat across the game board. "I respect your journey, human. But this ends here." Tae-ho studied the board. "Maybe, but I want to see how it ends." The game began. Cavell played perfectly. Every move was calculated, efficient, deadly. He controlled the board like a general commanding an army. Tae-ho's pieces fell one by one. In the stands, Yuna covered her eyes. "He's losing." On the board, Tae-ho was down to his last few pieces. Cavell smiled. Victory was certain. Then Tae-ho did something strange. He sacrificed his strongest piece. Not to gain position. Not to trap the enemy. He simply threw it away. Cavell paused. "What are you doing?" Tae-ho didn't answer. He sacrificed another piece. Then another. The crowd murmured in confusion. The commentators called it madness. Cavell's smile faded as he tried to understand the strategy. There was no strategy. That was the point. The Sorath were logical. They expected patterns. When Tae-ho threw away his pieces randomly, Cavell's mind searched for meaning that wasn't there. He hesitated. He second-guessed. He made his first mistake. Tae-ho saw it. One small opening. He pushed his weakest piece forward, a move so stupid that no one would expect it. Cavell moved to crush it, leaving his king exposed for just 1 turn. 1 turn was enough. Tae-ho's forgotten piece, the one everyone thought was useless, slid across the board and trapped Cavell's king. Silence. Then the arena exploded with noise. Humans screamed in joy. Aliens gasped in disbelief. Kaval stared at the board, trying to understand what happened. "You tricked me," he said slowly. "I confused you," Teho corrected. "It's different." Cavell was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed, a deep rumbling sound. "You humans are strange creatures." "I think I like you." They shook hands. Kaval's grip could have crushed Teho's bones, but the Sorath was gentle. Teho walked to the winner's podium, exhausted but smiling. Yuna was crying in the stands, jumping up and down. He waved at her, thinking about how the prize money would change their lives. They could save the workshop. They could pay off the debts. They could finally breathe. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. "Ladies and gentlemen, beings of all worlds, we present to you the champion of the Galactic Unity Games." The crowd cheered. Lights flashed. Music played. "And now," the announcer continued, "the prize shall be presented." Teho straightened his back. "Here it comes. Credits, technology, maybe a ship." He tried to look humble. "As tradition demands, the champion shall receive the highest honor the Sorath Dominion can offer." Sorath Dominion? Teho's smile flickered. What did they have to do with this? "The champion shall be united in marriage with her Imperial Majesty, Empress Valina of the Sorath Dominion." Teho's brain stopped working. A spotlight moved to a viewing platform high above the arena. A figure stood there, tall and regal. Silver-violet skin. A crown of living crystal. Eyes that seemed to hold entire galaxies. Empress Valina. She was watching him. Her expression was calm, unreadable. The crowd went wild. Humans looked confused. Aliens celebrated. The announcer kept talking about honor and unity and ancient traditions. Teho heard none of it. He looked at the Empress. He looked at the crowd. He looked at his sister, whose face had gone completely white. "What?" he said. His voice was small, lost in the noise. No one heard him. The announcer raised his arms. "All hail the champion. All hail the future consort of the Empress." Teho stood on the podium, frozen. He came here for prize money. He was leaving with a wife. An alien wife. An alien Empress wife. His legs felt weak. The lights were too bright. The noise was too loud. Somewhere in the back of his mind, a small voice whispered a question. What have I gotten myself into? He didn't have an answer. The next hour was a blur of lights, cameras, and alien faces. Guards in golden armor escorted Teho from the podium through long hallways. His mind kept repeating the same word. Marriage. 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 He tried to speak several times, but no one listened. The guards moved with purpose, their faces blank. Teho felt like a package being delivered. Finally, they reached a large door made of some dark metal. The guards stopped and stepped aside. One of them gestured for Teho to enter. "Wait," Teho said. "I need to talk to someone. There's been a mistake." The guard looked at him with something like pity. "There is no mistake, human. The Empress waits inside." Before Teho could argue, the door opened. He had no choice but to walk through. The room beyond was beautiful. High ceilings painted with stars, soft light from floating orbs. Furniture that looked like it cost more than his entire apartment building. And standing by a window, looking out at the city below, was Empress Valina. She was even taller up close. 7 feet at least. Her silver-violet skin seemed to glow faintly in the light. Her white hair fell past her shoulders like a waterfall of snow. When she turned to face him, her eyes were deep purple, ancient and wise. She was beautiful, terrifyingly beautiful. "Please," she said, her voice surprisingly soft. "Sit down." Teho didn't sit. "With respect, Your Majesty, I think there's been a huge misunderstanding." "There has not." Valina walked toward him slowly, her movements graceful like flowing water. "The games were created by my ancestors to find worthy consorts, the strongest, the smartest, the most determined. You won. The prize is exactly what was announced. But I'm human. You. Teho waved his hand at her. "This doesn't make sense." "It makes perfect sense." Valina stopped a few feet away. Humans joined the galactic community 5 years ago. The games this year were open to your species for the first time. No one expected a human to reach the final round. No one expected you to win. She paused. Including me. So, change the rules. Pick someone else. I cannot. For the first time, something like emotion crossed her face. The games are sacred to my people. The winner earns the prize. If I refuse to honor the result, I show weakness. My enemies would use it against me. Against my empire. Against your planet. Tejo felt cold. Against Earth? Valina nodded slowly. The Soreth Dominion is powerful. Many in the galaxy fear us. Some hate us. If they see me break tradition for a human, they will see Earth as a threat. They will think humans have corrupted the Empress. Your planet is young and weak. It cannot survive that kind of attention. The weight of her words pressed down on Tejo. This was bigger than him. Bigger than a stupid game. So I have no choice, he said bitterly. You have a choice. Valina's voice softened. This is what I offer. We complete the union publicly. We act as consorts for 1 year. After that time, if you wish to leave, we will quietly annul the marriage. I will say, it was a cultural trial. There will be no shame for you or Earth. Tejo studied her face. And if I refuse right now? If I walk out that door? Then you insult me and my empire in front of the entire galaxy. My advisors will demand punishment. Some will call for war. Earth's allies are few. The outcome would not be good for your people. She said it calmly, without threat. Just facts. Tejo laughed bitterly. So I'm trapped. I am sorry. And she sounded like she meant it. This is not how I wanted this to happen. Quote, for a long moment, Tejo said nothing. His mind raced through options. He could fight. He could run. He could scream. None of it would help. Fine, he said at last. 1 year. But I have conditions. Valina raised an eyebrow. No one made demands of an empress. But she nodded. Speak, first. My family. My sister Yuna. I want her protected. Not just safe. Protected. With your power. Done. Second, I want access to Soreth technology. Not for me, for Earth. Your medical tech. Your energy systems. Things that will help my people. Valina considered this. That is a large request. You're asking me to give up my life. This is my price. A small smile touched her lips. You negotiate like a Soreth. Very well. I will share technology with Earth. Within reason. Third, Tejo continued, I want the right to go home whenever I want. To visit. To see my sister. To walk on my own planet. Agreed. You will not be a prisoner. Tejo searched her face for lies. He found none. Either she was telling the truth, or she was the best liar in the galaxy. 1 year, he said. Then I leave. 1. If that is what you wish. Valina extended her hand. The gesture looked strange from someone so powerful, so alien. But Tejo recognized it. A handshake. A human custom. She had studied his people. He took her hand. Her skin was cool and smooth, like polished stone. Her grip was gentle, careful not to crush his fragile human bones. We have an agreement, she said. We have an agreement. They stood there for a moment, two strangers bound by circumstance. Then Valina released his hand and turned back to the window. Your sister is waiting outside. I will give you time to speak with her. Tomorrow, we travel to Soreth Prime. Tejo walked toward the door, then stopped. Your Majesty? She looked over her shoulder. Why did you choose to honor the old tradition? You could have offered something else as the prize. Credits. Land. Power. Why marriage? Valina was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was quiet. Because I am Empress of 12 star systems. I have power beyond measure. I have wealth beyond counting. I have everything. She paused. Except someone who sees me as more than a throne. She turned away. Goodbye, Park Tae-ho. I will see you tomorrow. Tae-ho left the room with her words echoing in his mind. In that moment, for just a second, he had seen something in her eyes. Loneliness. The most powerful woman in the galaxy was lonely. He found Yuna pacing in the hallway, her face pale with worry. When she saw him, she ran forward and hugged him tight. Tae-ho, are you okay? What happened? Can we fix this? He hugged her back, breathing in the familiar scent of home. It's complicated. I'll explain everything. But Yuna. I have to go with her. She pulled back, tears in her eyes. For how long? A year, maybe less. Yuna looked at him with a mix of fear and pride. You're really going to do this? Marry an alien empress? Tae-ho smiled tiredly. I came here to win prize money. Turns out the universe had other plans. That night, Tae-ho stood on the balcony of his temporary quarters. The city of Neo Seoul spread out below him, lights glittering like fallen stars. Tomorrow, he would leave all of this behind. He looked up at the sky, at the stars where the Sorath Dominion waited. What did I get myself into? He whispered. The stars gave no answer. But somewhere out there, an empress was looking at the same sky, thinking about a human who had surprised her. The year ahead would change everything. Neither of them knew it yet. Sorath Prime took Tae-ho's breath away. The planet was massive, twice the size of Earth, with purple skies and 3 moons that hung like jewels in the heavens. The capital city stretched across mountains and valleys, buildings of crystal and stone reaching toward the clouds. The imperial palace sat at the heart of it all. It was ancient, beautiful, and terrifying. Every wall told stories of conquest. Every statue showed warriors in victory. This was a place built by strength. For strength, and Tae-ho felt very, very small. The first week was a disaster. He couldn't understand Sorath customs. He bowed when he should have stood tall. He spoke when he should have stayed silent. He touched things that were sacred and ignored things that were important. The court watched him with cold eyes. Whispers followed him everywhere. The human, the outsider, the embarrassment. Advisor Korin was the worst. He was old, with silver scales on his skin and eyes that held centuries of wisdom. He had served 3 emperors before Valina, and he made no secret of his feelings. The consort should remain in his quarters, Korin said during a council meeting. Tae-ho was standing in the corner, trying to follow the discussion. These matters are beyond his understanding. Tae-ho felt his face burn. I can understand just fine. The council turned to look at him. Some looked annoyed, some looked amused, none looked respectful. Korin smiled thinly. Can you, human? Then perhaps you can explain the territorial dispute with the Keth Collective, or the trade negotiations with the mining guilds, or the succession laws that protect the throne. Tae-ho couldn't. He knew nothing about alien politics. His silence was answer enough. As I thought. Korin turned back to Valina. Your Majesty. With respect. This union was a mistake. The human weakens your position. Send him back to Earth before more damage is done. The room waited for Valina's response. She sat on her throne, face calm, eyes unreadable. The union stands, she said simply. This matter is closed. Korin's jaw tightened, but he bowed. As you wish, Your Majesty. Later that night, Tae-ho found Valina in the palace garden. She was sitting by a fountain, looking up at the 3 moons. Without her crown and formal robes, she looked almost normal, almost approachable. You didn't have to defend me, Tae-ho said, sitting beside her. Korin is right. I don't belong here. Korin is a brilliant advisor, Valina replied. He is also afraid of change. Your presence challenges everything he believes. That I'm weak? That strength is the only thing that matters. Valina looked at him. My people conquered their empire through power. We respect those who can fight. But you, Park Tae-ho, you won the games without being the strongest or the fastest. You won by thinking differently. That frightens them. It doesn't seem to frighten you. Valina smiled slightly. I am Empress. I cannot afford to be frightened. The days that followed were not easier. But Tejo stopped trying to fit in. Instead, he focused on what he knew. Engineering. Problem solving. Being useful. His first victory came by accident. The palace's water system failed, flooding the lower levels. Sorath engineers worked for hours, trying complex solutions that failed one after another. Tejo walked into the control room and looked at the system. It was advanced, beautiful, and completely overthought. The Sorath had designed it to be perfect. But perfection was fragile. May I? He asked the head engineer, pointing at the control panel. The engineer laughed. You? Human. This system is beyond your primitive understanding. Maybe. But I've fixed a lot of broken pipes in my life. The engineer stepped aside, smirking. The other Sorath gathered to watch the human fail. Tejo studied the system for 5 minutes. Then he reached in and unplugged one small component. The flooding stopped. Silence filled the room. The system was overcompensating, Tejo explained. Too many safety protocols fighting each other. Sometimes the simple solution is the best one. The head engineer stared at him with new eyes. How did you know? Tejo shrugged. Humans break things a lot. We get good at fixing them. Word spread through the palace. The human fixed the water system. The human solved a problem that Sorath engineers couldn't. It wasn't strength. It wasn't combat. But it was something. His second victory was smaller but more important. A young servant girl dropped a tray of food in front of several nobles. On Sorath Prime, servants who made mistakes were punished harshly. The nobles called for her to be beaten. Tejo stepped between them and the girl. She made a mistake, he said. Everyone makes mistakes. The nobles looked at him with disgust. You defend a servant? This is not your place, human. Then make it my place. Tejo didn't move. Punish her. And you insult me. I am the Empress's consort. Is that what you want? It was a bluff. He had no real power. But the nobles hesitated. Insulting the consort meant insulting the Empress. Even if the consort was just a human, they walked away, grumbling. The servant girl looked up at Tejo with tears in her eyes. Thank you, my lord. I'm not a lord, just call me Tejo. From that day, the servants treated him differently. They smiled when they saw him. They warned him about court dangers. They became his first allies in this strange world. General Mira was harder to win. She was the greatest warrior in the Dominion, a woman who had killed 100 enemies with her bare hands. She looked at Tejo like he was an insect. The turning point came during a training exercise. A young soldier made an error and fell from a high platform. He hung by his fingers, seconds from death. The other Sorath hesitated. Saving him meant risking themselves. Tejo didn't hesitate. He grabbed a rope, tied it to a pillar, and swung out over the gap. He wasn't strong enough to pull the soldier up, but he could hold on long enough for others to help. His arms screamed in pain. His fingers burned. He held on anyway. The soldier was saved. General Mira found Tejo later, sitting alone, wrapping his bleeding hands. That was stupid, she said. You could have died. He was going to die, Tejo replied. I couldn't just watch. Mira studied him for a long moment. You have no claws, no scales, no strength. And yet, you risked yourself for a stranger. Isn't that what warriors do? Mira's expression shifted. Something like respect flickered in her eyes. Perhaps humans understand more than I thought. She walked away without another word. But after that day, she stopped treating Tejo like an insect. She started treating him like a question she wanted to answer. Weeks passed. Tejo made small victories and many mistakes. The court still whispered. Corin still opposed him. But slowly, impossibly, things began to change. One evening, Valina called him to the throne room. The council was assembled. Taeho expected another humiliation. Instead, Korin spoke first. The human has requested access to our archives. He wishes to study our history and laws. The council murmured. A human studying Sorath culture? Valina looked at Taeho. Is this true? Yes. Taeho stood straight. If I am to be your consort, I should understand your people. Not just survive here. Understand. More murmurs. Korin's face was unreadable. Very well, Valina said. Access is granted. Taeho bowed. It was the right depth this time. The right duration. He had been practicing. As he left, he felt eyes on him. Valina's eyes. When he glanced back, she was smiling, just a little. It was a start. The Unity ceremony was the largest celebration of the year. Thousands gathered in the Grand Hall to honor the union between their empress and her human consort. Lights floated above the crowd like captured stars. Music filled the air, strange and beautiful. Taeho stood beside Valina on the raised platform, wearing formal Sorath robes that felt heavy on his shoulders. He had spent weeks preparing for this moment. Learning the words, practicing the gestures, trying not to embarrass himself or his planet. Valina looked magnificent in her ceremonial armor, crystals woven into her white hair. When she glanced at him, her eyes were warm. You look nervous, she said quietly. I'm terrified, he admitted. Good. It means you care. She touched his hand briefly. Just breathe. I will be beside you. The ceremony began. Words were spoken. Vows were exchanged. The crowd cheered as tradition demanded. Taeho barely heard any of it. His heart pounded so loud he thought everyone could hear. Then, in the middle of a blessing, everything went wrong. A flash of movement. A woman in the crowd pushed forward, pulling a blade from her sleeve. Her scream cut through the music. Death to the outsider. Death to the corrupted empress. Time slowed. Taeho saw the blade flying toward Valina. He saw the shock on her face. He saw the guards too far away to help. His body moved before his mind could think. He threw himself in front of Valina. The blade meant for her heart buried itself in his shoulder. Pain exploded through him, white and blinding. He fell. The next moments were chaos. Guards seized the attacker. People screamed. Blood pooled on the ancient floor. Valina dropped to her knees beside Taeho. Her calm was gone. Her hands pressed against his wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Taeho, stay with me, he tried to smile. Did I mess up the ceremony? Don't speak. Save your strength. You're not hurt? His voice was weak, fading. No, because of you. Her voice cracked. You foolish human. Why did you do that? Taeho's vision blurred. Seemed like the right thing. He passed out. He woke in a medical chamber. White walls. Soft light. The smell of healing chemicals. His shoulder burned with a dull ache. But he was alive. Yuna sat beside his bed, her face red from crying. When she saw his eyes open, she grabbed his hand. You idiot, she whispered. You absolute idiot. Good to see you too. Don't joke. You almost died. She squeezed his hand tighter. When I heard what happened, I thought I lost you. Takes more than a knife to kill me. Taeho tried to sit up and winced. How did you get here? The Empress sent a ship for me, fastest transport in her fleet. Yuna's voice softened. She hasn't left the palace since you fell. They say she's been checking on you every hour. Taeho processed this. Valina, checking on him, every hour. The door opened. His best friend Lee Dae-sung walked in, looking completely out of place in the alien medical chamber. Dae-sung was built like a tank, with the eyes of a soldier and the heart of a protector. He had served in Earth's military for 10 years before becoming Taeho's unofficial bodyguard. You look terrible, Dae-sung said. You look ugly, Taeho replied. Dae-sung grinned. I came as soon as Yuna called. Someone has to keep you alive. His expression turned serious. The attack wasn't random. There's a conspiracy. We need to talk. Before he could continue, the door opened again. Valina entered. She wore simple clothes, no crown, no armor. Without her formal appearance, she looked tired, worried. When she saw Tejo awake, something shifted in her face. Relief. "You're alive," she said. Apparently. She walked to his bedside. Yuna and Daesung stepped back, giving them space. For a moment, the Empress of 12 star systems just stood there, looking at the human who had taken a blade for her. "You saved my life," she said quietly. "You would have done the same." "I'm not sure I would have." She sat down slowly. "I've spent my whole life calculating risks, measuring costs. You acted without thinking. I thought about it. Just very fast." Valina almost smiled. "The assassin is being questioned. She belongs to a group that believes your presence corrupts the Dominion. They call themselves the Pure. They want me removed, and a traditional ruler in my place. Who leads them? We don't know yet." Valina's jaw tightened. "But I will find out." In the days that followed, Tejo recovered slowly. The blade had been poisoned, designed to kill any human instantly. Sorath medicine saved him, but his body needed time to heal. During his recovery, something changed between him and Valina. She visited every day. Sometimes she brought reports and discussed politics, asking his opinion on problems. Sometimes she brought food and they ate together in comfortable silence. Sometimes she just sat with him, watching the purple sky through the window. They talked about their pasts. Valina shared her childhood, raised to be a weapon more than a daughter. Her father, the previous emperor, had been harsh and demanding. She inherited the throne at 22 when he died in battle. She had ruled alone ever since. "Everyone wants something from me," she admitted one evening. "Power, favor, alliance. No one asks what I want." "What do you want?" Tejo asked. Valina was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know anymore. I've been empress so long, I've forgotten how to be anything else." Tejo understood. After his parents died, he had become a provider, a protector, a survivor. He forgot how to just be Tejo. "Maybe that's something we can figure out together," he said. Valina looked at him. In her eyes, he saw walls beginning to crack. Meanwhile, Daesung and Yuna investigated the conspiracy. They discovered that the Pure had members throughout the palace, including servants, guards, and minor nobles. But the leader remained hidden. "Someone powerful is behind this," Daesung reported. "Someone who can move people and resources without being noticed." "Korin?" Tejo asked. "He's the obvious suspect, but too obvious. The real enemy is smarter than that." Yuna had another discovery. "The Pure have been communicating with the Keth Collective. Our enemies are working together." The Keth were rivals of the Sorath, always probing for weakness. If they were connected to the Pure, the threat was far greater than anyone realized. Tejo knew they needed to act, but first, he needed to get stronger. He pushed himself through painful rehabilitation, rebuilding his body day by day. One night, Valina found him in the training room. Struggling through exercises his wounded shoulder screamed against. "You should be resting," she said. "I've rested enough." Tejo gritted his teeth through another movement. "I can't protect you from a bed. You don't need to protect me. I have armies." Armies weren't fast enough in the Grand Hall. He stopped, breathing hard. "I was." Valina walked closer. "Why do you care so much?" "We have an agreement. 1 year. You could leave tomorrow if you wanted." Tejo met her eyes. "I don't know what this is between us. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's something. But I'm not going anywhere until I figure it out." The silence stretched between them. Then Valina did something unexpected. She reached out and touched his face. Her fingers were cool against his skin. Her eyes searched his, looking for something. "You are very strange, Park Tejo. I've been told." She almost smiled. Almost. Then she pulled her hand back and walked away. But at the door, she paused. "Thank you," she said softly, "for saving me, and for staying." Then she was gone. Tejo stood alone in the training room, his heart beating fast for reasons that had nothing to do with exercise. The conspiracy was growing, enemies were circling, danger was coming, but in that moment, all he could think about was the feeling of her fingers on his face, and he knew, with sudden certainty, that his life would never be the same. The news came at midnight. The Keth Collective had attacked 3 border colonies of the Sorath Dominion. Thousands dead, cities burning, supply lines cut. Valina called an emergency council. Tejo stood in the corner, watching generals argue about strategy. Their voices were loud, angry, confident. "We strike back with full force," one general declared. "Show them Sorath's strength." "The Keth expect that," another argued. "They've fortified their positions. A direct assault would cost us heavily. Then we accept those costs. Honor demands it." Valina sat on her throne, listening. Her face was calm, but Tejo could see the tension in her shoulders. The weight of decision. "I will lead the defense personally," she announced. The room went silent. "Your Majesty," Corin said carefully, "the risk is too great. If something happens to you, if I hide while my people die, I am not worthy of this throne." Valina stood. "Prepare the fleet. We leave at dawn." Tejo found her in her chambers an hour later. She was putting on battle armor, piece by piece. Each section was ancient, worn by emperors before her. "I'm coming with you," he said. Valina didn't look up. "No. I'm not asking. You're still recovering from the assassination attempt. The battlefield is no place for a weak human." Tejo crossed his arms. "If I stay here while you fight, every whisper about me will be confirmed. The coward consort, who hides behind his wife. Is that what you want?" Valina paused. "I want you alive. Then keep me close, so you can protect me." He smiled slightly. "Besides, I might be useful." The journey to the border took 3 days. Tejo spent the time studying the Keth, learning their tactics, searching for weaknesses. He also talked with Sorath soldiers, listening to their concerns. The Keth were waiting for them. Their forces had dug into the mountains surrounding the colony, creating a fortress of rock and steel. Any direct assault would be suicide. The Sorath generals wanted to attack anyway. Honor demanded they face the enemy head-on. Strength against strength. They were willing to sacrifice thousands to prove they weren't afraid. Tejo couldn't stay silent. "There's another way," he said during the strategy meeting. Generals turned to look at him. Some with annoyance, some with curiosity. General Mira watched with careful interest. "Speak," Valina said. "The Keth expect you to attack directly. They've prepared for that. But what if we don't give them what they expect?" Tejo pulled up a map. "The mountains have mining tunnels. Old, abandoned, but still passable. We send small teams through the tunnels, behind enemy lines. They sabotage supplies, create confusion, make the Keth think they're surrounded." "Sabotage?" A general spat the word. "That is not the Sorath way. We face our enemies with honor. Your honor won't matter if you're all dead." Tejo's voice was hard. "The Keth don't care about honor. They care about winning. If you fight their way, you lose. Fight differently." The room erupted in argument. Generals shouted. Advisors protested. Only Valina remained silent, studying the map. "What else?" she asked finally. "Psychological warfare. The Keth commanders are proud, just like Sorath. If we challenge their leader to single combat, broadcast it everywhere, we can draw attention away from our real moves. Whether we win or lose, that fight doesn't matter. What matters is what we do while they're watching." "You want us to cheat," a general accused. "I want us to survive." Tejo met his eyes. "Back on Earth, we have a saying, if you fight fair, you didn't want to win badly enough." Mira laughed. It was a harsh sound, but genuine. "I like this human. He thinks like a predator." "This is madness," Corin said. "Your Majesty, you cannot listen to." "Enough," Valina raised her hand. "We will try the human's plan." Silence. "Your Majesty, my decision is final." Valina stood. General Mira, select your best soldiers for the tunnel teams. I want this operation ready by nightfall. The plan went into motion. Sorath warriors, proud and honorable, learned to move in shadows. They didn't like it, but they obeyed their empress. Teho joined one of the tunnel teams. His shoulder still ached, but he ignored it. He showed soldiers how to set traps, how to create diversions, how to disappear before the enemy could respond. This feels wrong, one warrior muttered, as they planted charges beneath a Keth supply depot. Does it feel wrong to protect your families? Teho asked. Your children? Your home? The warrior was silent. There's no shame in fighting smart. The shame would be letting your people die for pride. The warrior nodded slowly. Perhaps humans understand more than we believed. The operation was chaos in the best way. Explosions lit up the night. Keth supply lines burned. Communication towers fell. The enemy scrambled to respond, not knowing where the attacks came from. Meanwhile, Valina issued her challenge. She would face the Keth commander in single combat at dawn. The broadcast spread across the system. The Keth commander accepted. He was arrogant, certain of victory. While his attention focused on the duel, Mira led the main assault through a gap the sabotage teams had created. The battle was brutal. Teho stayed close to Valina's command ship, monitoring communications, adjusting tactics in real time. He wasn't a fighter, but he could think, and sometimes, thinking was more powerful than fighting. When Keth reinforcements appeared on the eastern flank, Teho saw the pattern before anyone else. Pull back the 3rd Division, he shouted to the communications officer. They're walking into a trap. On whose authority? Mine, Valina said through the comm. The 3rd Division retreated just as Keth fighters emerged from hiding. What should have been a massacre became a standoff. The duel at dawn was brutal. The Keth commander was massive, skilled, confident. Valina fought with cold precision. She was faster than him, but he was stronger. The fight lasted nearly an hour. In the end, Valina won. Not through strength, but through patience. She let him tire himself out, then struck at the perfect moment. Her blade found his heart. The Keth forces broke. Without their commander, without their supplies, surrounded by enemies they couldn't see, they retreated. The colonies were saved. The cost was high. Many Sorath warriors died. But it was a fraction of what a direct assault would have claimed. That night, soldiers gathered around fires, sharing stories. They spoke of the human who fought without fighting, the one who showed them a different path. General Mira found Teho sitting alone, staring at the stars. You did well today, she said, sitting beside him. I watched people die. His voice was hollow. I told myself it was necessary. But it still hurts. Mira nodded. That pain means you have a warrior's heart. Even if you don't have a warrior's body, the ones who feel nothing are the dangerous ones. She was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke formally. I, General Mira of the Sorath Dominion, declare before the ancestors that Park Teho has earned his place among us. From this day, he shall carry a war name. He shall be called Iron Will, for his spirit cannot be broken. Teho stared at her. I don't understand. A war name is given only to those who prove themselves in battle. No human has ever received one. She smiled, a rare expression on her fierce face. You are the first. Later, Sorath soldiers began chanting, quietly at first, then louder. The name spread through the camp like fire. Iron Will. Iron Will. Iron Will. Iron Will. Teho stood, overwhelmed. Then he saw Valina walking toward him. She was injured, exhausted, covered in dust and blood. But she was smiling. When she reached him, she did something no empress should do. She embraced him in front of everyone. Thank you, she whispered. Teho held her carefully. You did the hard part. We did it together. She pulled back, looking at his face. Iron Will. It suits you. The chanting continued. The stars wheeled overhead. And in that moment, surrounded by warriors who had once despised him, Tejo felt something he hadn't expected. He felt like he belonged. Valina took his hand as they walked back to the command ship. Neither of them let go. The war wasn't over. The conspiracy still waited in the shadows. But tonight, they had won, and they had won together. Victory came with consequences. Valina returned from the border campaign exhausted. Her body pushed beyond its limits. The duel with the Keth commander had left her with injuries she tried to hide. Tejo saw through her mask immediately. "You need to rest," he told her. "There's no time. The council waits. The reconstruction needs oversight." Valina. He rarely used her name without her title. It made her stop. "You're not invincible. Even empresses need sleep." She looked at him with something between annoyance and gratitude. "You're becoming very bold, human." "Someone has to be." She rested. For 3 days, Tejo stood guard over her recovery, turning away visitors and officials who demanded her attention. Some grumbled. Others looked at him with new respect. The human protecting the empress. Things had changed. During those quiet days, Yuna and Dae Sung finished their investigation. "We found the leader of the pure," Yuna said, her face pale. They sat in Tejo's private quarters, away from listening ears. "It's not Corinne." "Then who?" Dae Sung placed a small device on the table. A hologram appeared, showing a Sorath male with sharp features and cold eyes. He wore the robes of a noble house. "Lord Savan," Dae Sung said. "Valina's cousin. He's 5th in line for the throne." "Lordaeron Savan." Tejo felt cold. Her family, he's been working with the Keth for years. The border attack wasn't just aggression, it was a distraction. While everyone focused on the war, Savan's been positioning his people throughout the palace. Guards, servants, even council members. Yuna pulled up more data. "We intercepted communications. He's planning a coup. Tomorrow night, during the victory celebration. Tomorrow. We need to warn Valina. We can't." Dae Sung's voice was grim. "Sivan has people everywhere. If we tell the wrong person, he'll know. He'll move up his timeline. Right now, surprise is our only advantage." Tejo thought quickly. "How many loyalists can we trust?" "Absolutely trust? General Mira and her personal guard, maybe 50 soldiers total, against Savan's hundreds." "What about Corin?" Yuna hesitated. "He's been suspicious of Sevan for months. That's why Sevan framed him after the assassination attempt. To remove a rival. Then we bring Corin in. 50 soldiers become 60 or 70. Tejo stood, pacing. "We can't stop the coup. But we can be ready for it." They spent the night planning. Every detail. Every contingency. When Valina woke the next morning, Tejo told her everything. Her reaction was quiet, controlled. But Tejo saw the pain beneath the surface. "Savan," she said softly. "We played together as children. He was my friend. Won the Cape too. Savan the Cape too. I'm sorry. Don't be. Friendship means nothing to those who want power." Her voice hardened. "What's the plan?" "What?" Tejo explained. Valina listened. When he finished, she nodded. "It's a good plan. For a human. Is that a compliment?" "Take it however you want." She almost smiled. "Let's end this." The victory celebration filled the grand hall with music and light. Nobles danced. Wine flowed. Everyone celebrated the defeat of the Keth. No one noticed the tension beneath the surface. Tejo stayed close to Valina, watching the crowd. Dae Sung positioned himself near the exits. Yuna monitored communications from a hidden room. Mira's soldiers waited in the shadows. The attack came at midnight. Guards loyal to Savan moved simultaneously, blocking all exits. The music stopped. Panic rippled through the crowd as armed soldiers surrounded the hall. Lord Savan walked through the chaos, calm and confident. He wore ceremonial armor, as if he had already claimed the throne. "Empress Valina," he announced, his voice carrying over the frightened whispers, "you are accused of corrupting our empire, of weakening our people with alien influence, of betraying everything the Dominion stands for." Valina stood tall. "And you, cousin, are accused of treason." Seven laughed. "Treason? I'm saving our people. When you're gone, the Dominion will be pure again, strong again." He gestured to his soldiers. "Take her." The soldiers moved forward. Taeho stepped in front of Valina. "You'll have to go through me." Savan looked at him with contempt. With pleasure. What happened next was precisely what they had planned. Mira's soldiers emerged from hidden positions, attacking Savan's forces from behind. Korin appeared with his loyalists, engaging enemies near the exits. The hall erupted into battle. In the chaos, Taeho grabbed Valina's arm. "The throne room. That's where he'll try to force your abdication." They fought their way through the palace. Taeho wasn't a warrior, but desperation made him dangerous. He used every trick he knew. Throwing objects, creating diversions, fighting dirty. A guard caught him with a blow that sent him crashing against a wall. Stars exploded in his vision. He tasted blood. The guard raised his weapon for the killing blow. A blade erupted through the guard's chest. Valina pulled her sword free, her eyes fierce. "Stay behind me," she commanded. They reached the throne room. Sivan was already there, waiting. His personal guards stood around him. He had expected this. "Cousin," he said pleasantly. "You're predictable." Valina stepped forward. "This ends now, Sivan." "It does, but not the way you think." He snapped his fingers. More guards poured in from hidden doors. Dozens of them. Taeho's heart sank. They were outnumbered badly. Then the main doors burst open. Daesung charged in with a squad of human marines. Behind them came Mira with her warriors. "Surprise," Daesung said grimly. Sivan's confidence flickered. "Where did you focused on Sorath loyalties," Taeho said, moving to stand beside Valina. "You forgot about humans. Turns out my planet wanted to help." The battle in the throne room was vicious. Steel clashed against steel. Bodies fell. Blood stained the ancient floor. Sivan fought like a demon, cutting down anyone who came near. He was a skilled warrior, better than most. But Valina was Empress, for a reason. She faced him alone. Their blades met in a dance of death. "You could have had everything," Valina said between strikes. "Position, honor, family." "I wanted the throne," Sivan snarled. "You stole it from me." "I earned it. You never could." The duel was brutal. Both were wounded. Both kept fighting. The hall held its breath. Taeho saw Sivan reach for a hidden blade. Poison, probably. The same type used in the assassination attempt. Valina, his left hand. She saw it. She moved. Sivan's poisoned blade missed her throat by inches. Her sword found his heart. Sivan fell, shock frozen on his face. His last words were a whisper. "This changes nothing. You're still corrupted by..." He died before finishing. Valina stood over his body, breathing hard. Blood dripped from a cut on her arm. Her crown had fallen somewhere during the fight. One by one, Seven's remaining soldiers dropped their weapons. It was over. Korin limped forward, wounded but alive. He knelt before Valina. "Your Majesty, I doubted you. I doubted your choice of consort. I was wrong." He looked at Taeho. "Both of you have shown me what true strength looks like. Not just muscle and steel, but courage, loyalty, love." Valina helped him stand. "Rise, old friend. We have much rebuilding to do." The hall filled with the sounds of victory. Wounded being tended. Prisoners being taken. The nightmare ending. Valina turned to Taeho. Her face was exhausted, grieving, relieved. "You could have died tonight," she said. "So could you. But you stayed. You fought. For me." Taeho took her hand. "Not just for you. For us." She stared at him. Then, in front of the entire court, she kissed him. It wasn't a political gesture. It wasn't tradition. It was real. When they pulled apart, Valina spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. This is my consort. This is my equal. Anyone who challenges him challenges me. The hall erupted in cheers. Mira smiled. Corin nodded. Dae-sung gave Taeho a thumbs up. Yuna cried happy tears. Taeho looked at Valina. At the woman who had become so much more than a political arrangement. I think we passed the 1-year trial, he said. Valina laughed, a real laugh, full of joy. I think we did. Outside, the sun began to rise over Soreth Prime. A new day was beginning. 1 year had passed. Taeho stood in his chambers, looking at himself in the mirror. The man who looked back was different from the one who had stumbled onto that arena stage 12 months ago. He stood straighter now. His eyes held confidence. The robes he wore fit him properly, not like a costume, but like something he had earned. Today was Unity Day, the anniversary of his victory in the games. The day their arrangement officially ended, he had the right to leave. Valina had promised. No consequences, no shame, just freedom. The door opened. Dae-sung walked in, dressed in the formal uniform of the Imperial Guard. After the coup, Valina had offered him a position. He had accepted, claiming someone needed to keep Taeho out of trouble. You ready? Dae-sung asked. I don't know what I am. That's not like you. The Taeho I know always has a plan. The Taeho you know never had to make a choice like this. Dae-sung sat down heavily. You're really thinking about leaving? I'm thinking about everything. Taeho turned from the mirror. Earth is my home. My planet. My people. If I stay here, I become something else. Someone else. Am I ready for that? What does your heart tell you? Taeho was silent. Dae-sung nodded slowly. I've known you since we were kids. You've always done what makes sense, what's practical, what's smart. He stood and put a hand on Taeho's shoulder. Maybe it's time to do what makes you happy. He left, closing the door behind him. Taeho sat alone with his thoughts. In another part of the palace, Valina faced her own mirror. Her handmaidens had prepared her for the ceremony, dressing her in robes of silver and white. She looked every inch the empress. Inside, she felt like a frightened girl. Yuna stood nearby, watching her with knowing eyes. In the past year, the human woman had become one of Valina's closest friends. Perhaps her only real friend. You haven't asked him to stay, Yuna said. I cannot ask that of him. It wouldn't be fair. Fair? Yuna laughed softly. When has love ever been fair? Valina's hands trembled slightly. If he stays out of obligation, I would never forgive myself. He must choose freely. And if he chooses to leave? The Empress of 12 star systems closed her eyes. When she spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. Then I will let him go, even if it breaks me. Yuna moved closer. Can I tell you something? As his sister, Valina nodded. My brother has never been good at knowing what he wants. He spent his whole life taking care of me, taking care of everyone else. He forgot how to take care of himself. Yuna smiled. But I've watched him this year. I've seen how he looks at you. I've seen how he changes when you walk into a room. What are you saying? I'm saying give him a reason to stay. Not duty, not politics. Give him you. Valina stared at her. Something shifted in her eyes. Thank you, Yuna. Thank me by making my brother happy. The Unity Day celebration filled the Grand Hall once again. This time, there were no hidden enemies. No conspiracies lurking in the shadows, just thousands of beings, human and Soreth alike, gathered to honor the union that had changed everything. Screens across both Earth and Soreth Prime broadcast the ceremony. Billions watched. History was being made. Taeho walked through the crowd toward the raised platform where Valina waited. Every step felt heavy. Every heartbeat echoed in his ears. The announcer's voice boomed across the hall. Today marks 1 year since the sacred union between Empress Valina and Park Taeho, victor of the Galactic Unity Games. As tradition allows, the consort may now speak his choice. Silence fell. Taeho climbed the steps to the platform. Valina stood there, regal and beautiful, her face carefully composed. but he could see the truth in her eyes. The fear. The hope. He faced the crowd. Thousands of faces looked back at him. Humans. Sorath. Others. All waiting. 1 year ago. Teho began, his voice carrying across the hall. I came to Neo Soul looking for prize money. I wanted to save my family's workshop. I wanted to help my sister. He paused. I never expected to win. I definitely never expected the prize to be marriage to an alien empress. Soft laughter rippled through the crowd. When I arrived on Sorath Prime, I was terrified. Everything was strange. Everyone looked at me like I didn't belong. And honestly, they were right. I didn't belong. He turned to look at Valina. She was watching him with intensity, every word landing like a blow. But something changed. I started to see this place differently. I started to see her differently. His voice softened. The Empress everyone sees is powerful, wise, strong, but the woman I've come to know is also kind, lonely, funny when she thinks no one is watching. She cares about her people more than she cares about herself. He took a step toward her. I came here thinking I had lost everything. My home, my freedom, my future. He took her hands in his. But I was wrong. I didn't lose anything. I found something. Something I didn't know I was looking for. Tears glistened in Valina's eyes. She said nothing, waiting. Today, I have the right to leave. To go back to Earth. To return to my old life. Teho squeezed her hands. But I don't want my old life. I want this one. I want to wake up every morning and see those 3 moons in the sky. I want to argue with Corin about politics. I want to train with Mira until my arms give out. He pulled her closer. I want to spend my life with you. Not because of duty, not because of treaties, because you're where I belong, because I love you. The last 3 words echoed through the silent hall. Valina's composure finally broke. Tears streamed down her face, but she was smiling, really smiling. The kind of smile that transforms a face. You foolish human, she whispered. I know. I love you too. She pulled him into an embrace, holding him tight. The crowd erupted. Sorath warriors roared their approval. Humans cheered. The sound was deafening, joyous, alive. Yuna sobbed into Daesung's shoulder. He pretended not to be emotional, and failed completely. General Mira stood at attention, but there was a satisfied smile on her face. Corin nodded respectfully, finally at peace. When Valina and Teho finally separated, they turned to face their people together, hand in hand, united. The announcer struggled to speak over the noise. By the ancient traditions and the witness of all present, the union stands. Long live the Empress. Long live the consort. The celebration lasted for hours. Music, dancing, food, joy. Later, when the crowds had thinned and the stars had come out, Teho and Valina stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city. 3 moons hung in the purple sky. Ships from Earth entered the atmosphere, carrying the first wave of cultural exchange ambassadors. Among them was Yuna, who had requested a permanent position on Sorath Prime. No more going back, Valina said softly. You understand what this means? I understand. You'll be a target. Forever. My enemies will hate you. My allies will doubt you. Your life will never be simple again. Quote, Teho laughed. Was it ever simple? I spent my 20s fixing robots and raising my sister. Complicated is kind of my thing. Valina leaned against him. What do you see when you look at the future? He thought about it. Challenges, problems, things we can't predict. He turned to face her. But also mornings watching the sunrise with you. Arguments that end in laughter, building something new between our people. Growing old together, if we're lucky. You've changed. You've changed me. She kissed him softly. I never believed in fate. I was trained to believe in strategy, planning, control. She touched his face. But you walked into my life because of a game, and nothing has been the same since. If that's not fate, I don't know what is. Months later, Tejo stood on the same balcony. Valina was beside him, as she always was now. Below them, the city buzzed with activity. Human shops had opened alongside Sorath businesses. Children of both species played together in the streets. It wasn't perfect. There were still those who hated the Union. Still tensions between the two cultures. Still problems that seemed impossible to solve, but they faced them together. Yuna appeared in the doorway. The ambassador from the mining guilds is here. He looks annoyed. Tejo sighed. Doesn't he always? That's why I'm warning you. She grinned and disappeared. Valina straightened her robes. Ready for another impossible negotiation? With you? Always. They started toward the door, but Tejo paused. He looked out at the city one more time. At the stars. At the impossible life he was living. He laughed softly. What? Valina asked. I was just thinking. I entered those games for prize money, enough to save a small workshop on Earth. He shook his head in wonder. And I ended up with all of this. Valina smiled. Do you regret it? Not for a second. She took his hand. Good. Because you're stuck with me now. I can think of worse fates. They walked together into the palace, ready to face whatever came next. The human who never expected to win. The empress who never expected to love. And the future they would build together, one impossible day at a time.